Hi, I'm Davarnain and you are watching Regent Park TV. Toronto police officers from 51 Division held its quarterly community meeting with Regent Park residents on March 27, 2023 at 150 River Street to discuss neighborhood policing, youth engagement, crime stats and trends, police community projects, crime prevention, avoiding scams and frauds, and other community concerns. The community discussion was moderated by Sergeant Henry Dyck, Neighbourhood Community Officer Supervisor. Neighbourhood community officers reported good news to our community with no shootings nor homicides in Regent Park so far this year, although there is a lot of work to be done. City Councillor for Toronto Centre Ward 13 Chris Moise and TCHC Supervisor of Revitalization and Renewal Communities Shane Bourne were also present at the meeting. Let's go to the meeting.
Before we go on any further, because we're not doing the stats presentation, one thing I think is very important to mention tonight, because we do provide some statistical information. I just want to say, so for this quarter so far, so first of all, last year, we take from January the 1st to December the 31st of 2022. Regent Park, the number of criminal charges, the number of calls for criminal acts in Regent Park went down. Doesn't happen very many years. I can tell you since I've been here, that's not been the case most years that I've been here, if ever. So that's a good thing. To date for this, since January the 1st until now in this year, calls for service and charges laid for criminal acts has gone down quite substantially. So of the 6 neighborhoods, your neighborhood is doing very, very well in all indicators that we track. So all of the major crime indicators, which covers things like assaults and things like sexual assault, auto theft, all of these kinds of things, those are all way down. So now I say this, of course, and something will happen tonight, but so far for this year and for the whole of last year, in every category, crime is down in Regent Park. And I also say, in addition to that we've not had, again, knock on wood, we've not had a shooting in Regent Park so far this year. So for us, this is great because I mean you have all been there with me, standing over across the street after January the 1st, when the first homicide of the year was here in Regent Park, right? So far this year, we've not had a shooting even, let alone a homicide in Regent Park. So for us, this is, thank you. Well, it's not just us, right? It's not just us, but that's good news for all of us. So hopefully we continue on that trend. But just to say, the picture from last year and the picture so far this year, although there's lots of work to be done, there's always going to be lots of work to be done, but the picture so far this year has been pretty rosy.
I'll ask a real quick question. First of all, Sergeant Dyck, that's great news, and I'm glad that crime in Regent Park is going down. But I'm hoping one of you could speak to the Toronto Community Crisis Service. I think that's an integral service that many residents, many of our neighbors don't know about. So I was hoping if you could talk about the relationship, how could folks be referred? What we want is we want to make sure that well-trained professionals are able to connect with folks who are in a mental health crisis. So we don't have an issue. I know that came up at the safety network as well. And hopefully at our next safety network, we're going to have a much more robust presentation on TCCS. So if you could speak to that, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Sure, no problem. So the Toronto Community Crisis Service is something that was initiated by City Hall and by Council in response to concerns from the community and from, frankly, the police as well. Because if you're asking any police officer how they want to spend their day, they would rather, frankly, not be dealing with people who are not violent and in crisis if that can be dealt with by a mental health professional, frankly. We would rather be doing other things, like getting the guy in the car with the gun and the drugs. So in response to that, TCCS was created. It's been piloted here in 51 Division. And so far, they're most recent statistical analysis looked not too bad. It's still very, very early in the program to really say how successful the program is. Overall, right now for this year, calls that have had to be attended by the Toronto Police Service in 51 Division for mental health crisis are down about 14%. So if you're looking at the effect, some of that obviously is due to TCCS being available. So it works like this. Basically, if you called 911 because you were in crisis or you're observing somebody else who's in crisis, the call taker is going to ask you some questions like, are there any weapons? Is this person being violent? Is there threats of any violence? And if the answer to all of those is no, they will ask you if you would prefer to have somebody from TCCS come. And if the answer is yes, then TCCS will be dispatched to that call. Now, they could get there and they could decide that they can de-escalate that situation and deal with that situation themselves and refer that person to services or whatever needs to be done to help that individual and never need the assistance of the police. Or they could arrive and they could say, no, this person needs to go to the hospital, and the only people that can apprehend someone right now under Section 17 of the Mental Health Act, which is provincial legislation, the only people that can apprehend somebody and take them to the hospital is the police. So in that kind of situation, if they believe that the only outcome that would help that person would be if that person was apprehended and taken to the hospital, then they would refer back to the dispatcher and say, we do need police to come to apprehend this person and take this person.
Okay, also, I want to acknowledge Chris Moise in the house. Hey, Councillor Chris Moise.
Thank you. May I make a comment on that as well?
Yeah.
You know, the Downtown East Action Plan was a pilot project, and this past council budget, is now permanent. So it was very successful, and now we've actually expanded it to the Downtown West Action Plan. So it's fully funded and hopefully expanded across the city eventually. I think it's worked well.
Yep, so far.
With the police and other agencies. So I'm actually the liaison for that committee, and I meet regularly with. I'm actually the liaison for that committee.
Come closer.
I'm the liaison for that committee, and I work closely with Akonde, who's in charge of the program. So that's what I'd add.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. And it's nice to see the city councillor out
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, but basically I agree with the council. The program has worked well so far, and it's great that, where we can and are able to, we can civilianize the response because we have a lot of different things that are required of us as police officers and have to train in a lot of different areas. It's nice when you can have someone that's just dedicated to doing mental health crisis to respond, somebody who's got expertise in that area solely and can train solely in that area to be able to come and to de-escalate situations. And so we work very closely with them. There are other pilot projects on the go as well. We have another project that's piloted here in 51 Division as well called Here to Help. They're not in this neighborhood, but they're in 2 other of our neighborhoods in 51 Division. So these pilots are being tested, and as the councillor said, this one's definitely TCCS for sure is here to stay because it's funded and is going to be permanent and probably expanded across the city into other areas. And they'll keep updating back to council, and then in turn that will be shared with the public as to what the statistical information is and what the results are, but so far so good.
Is that the 211 number, or is that a whole different project altogether that you're talking about?
No, you can call 211. They'll route you. There is a specific Gerstein phone number for this project, but you can also call 911, and the 911 dispatcher will also send TCCS.
So what's 211 then?
211 is like a referral number for a whole host of city services.
Oh. Because somebody told me that 311 is one thing and 211 is another. Okay.
They will route you as well. You can call 211. They might route you back to, depending on what you're saying, they might route you back to 911 dispatch. But yeah.
All right.
I just want to say that I don't know if the pilot project is permanent as of yet, so just want to double check that. But we hope.
Councillor says it's here to stay.
Yeah,
If he's supporting, that's great. If Councillor Moise, sorry, Miguel. If Councillor Moise is supporting, that's great. But we want to make sure that our next mayor, whoever's elected on June 26th, is also supportive of this pilot project being permanent. Because many of you might not know this, but because of provincial legislation, we have a strong mayoral system in Toronto, meaning that the budget is introduced by the mayor, right? And councils can propose amendments, but that's integral. So if there is a way we could spread the good news about the success of the pilot project in 51 Division or in this area, that'd be great. So I want to challenge my friends here to work with TCS, Toronto Community Crisis Service, to share that news, to share how many referrals were made, right? From the TPS or from 211 or from 311 to that service.
Well, the city does that already. It's not, frankly, these officers' job to sell the program. The program sells itself as far as I'm concerned. But the city is already doing quite a very good job as far as I can tell. They have had media scrums about this. They put out press releases about it. It is pretty well known that so far the program has been working pretty well. So, we speak about it in the terms in which we can. It's obviously not a program that's run by us, but our interaction so far with it has been positive. And like I said, if you ask any police officer what they want to do, it's not meant, to be a permanent mental health worker. So they're going to say, yeah, to the extent that you can take those calls off of us, that's great. We're all for that. So we support that to the extent that we can.
Hi. So I'm going to talk specifically about 220 Oak because I don't know how it works elsewhere. But we have been told that the paid security, which is at our building 24/7, they're no longer allowed to, one, patrol the halls, and number two, they're no longer allowed to start at the top floor around 11 o'clock or so and lock the garbage chute doors, which is very important because people were starting fires. And so we were told the reason for this was that the CHU, so special constables, that your union grieved the paid security doing that. Not that you guys actually do it, but apparently your union grieved them doing that. And I'm just wondering if that was true, and if so, why? And also I'd like to hear a little bit, I'm sure we'd all like to hear a little bit about what you guys are doing to work with the police to increase safety in all our buildings. Mm-hmm. Because, I'll give you a very brief example. A few days ago, a young man who delivers food for a living, he came by looking for his bike. And it had been stolen. He locked it, but foolishly did not lock it to something. I've had the same experience actually a few years ago. And he had a tracker on it, and he tracked it to the exact department where I knew it would be. He walked around the building, and he found it on the second floor, actually on their balcony. He waited many hours for CHU, I keep saying the wrong, anyway, housing police, to come. You guys never showed up. So then I guess he contacted the police, and I have heard they ended up with his bike back. But we don't seem to be getting a very good response from you guys. The other day, someone knocked on my door because some idiot stole his pants and threw him out of the apartment. And thank God he had a long hoodie because he wasn't wearing underwear. But couldn't get you guys to come, but the police showed up fairly quickly. So right now, I'm completely unimpressed with the special constables because I know you may be busy, but sometimes you just don't show up. Well, when I called about the bicycle situation, the guy was really rude, and so, but the police came. So what I've been noticing, and as a tenant, what I've been hearing about, is that some people aren't even bothering to call you guys anymore. They're going right to the police. Mm-hmm. And you guys are supposed to be a little bit of an intermediary for the police, for us, so that can free them up for more dangerous or more serious stuff. So, I mean, what is going on with you guys?
Yeah.
Well, starting off with your first question in regards to the security not being able to patrol, from my knowledge, security is still patrolling, because when we go there, we always see security and they're always on the floors patrolling.
No, they haven't been patrolling for
I was going for us and me and my partner, we're Regent Park officers, so when we got involved. Yeah, so 220 Oak. So when we get the opportunity, we get to use our free time to conduct patrols as well as security on those floors.
They're not allowed to patrol by themselves. We know this.
Yeah,
It's been
regardless
told
if you
many
see them or
times.
not, we still try to get out there and do the patrols, right? We're in the stairwells, we're in the hallways. It may not be in front of your unit, so you may not see us all the time. And in regards to your bike theft, I've seen it's occurred in Regent Park many times. And you're saying the special constables aren't showing up. It's because we may be pulled to go to other communities as well, right, for operational needs. And the police may show up there before us because there's more police officers than there are special constables. We're a very limited number of people for many buildings down here, so it depends. So when we get a call, we try to get to our priority calls first. And bike theft may not be high priority, whereas when someone's life is in danger, that's the higher priority, right? So when there's more police officers, they're able to show up before us.
What about our garbage chutes being locked? We need them locked because people start fires.
That's all depending on your superintendent and the
No,
safety of people going in there.
We used to have the security guards that work in the building
Yeah,
go floor to floor and lock these doors.
yeah.
And for some
They're not
reason,
allowed
they're
to
not allowed to
anymore
do that
because
anymore because
Your union
Your
grieved
union.
them doing that. Not like you guys are showing up to come and lock our garbage chute doors. We had a lot of arson type fires
Yeah.
by people throwing stuff down the garbage chute. And once we,
That's managed by the management too.
well, hang on, let me finish.
Fires in the
That was solved. That was solved by having security lock the garbage chutes around 11 o'clock at night. They started to talk and work their way down. They're not allowed to do that anymore because your union, nothing personal, grieved the fact that they were patrolling the halls and locking it. And the other thing, when they were patrolling just to lock the chutes, they would often see things like people in the hallways and things like that and say, hey, what are you doing? How can we help you? And then the people would just leave. That's not happening anymore. I have no idea why your union would grieve it. I could understand if your union said, we're going to come every day, 7 days a week, and we're going to lock the chutes. And we don't want someone doing our job. But you guys don't come and lock our chutes. So we haven't had too many fires, but we do not want to get back to the fact where the situation where we had, like every couple of days, someone was throwing a lighter or matches or whatever down the chute, setting it on fire. So maybe you guys could allow them to do it?
So you're saying the garbage is solely locked or?
They are not being locked. And we never used to have locks on the garbage chute doors, but because we had the problem of people setting fires in the garbage chutes, TCHC put a lock on every single chute. They had to change the handles so they could lock. And then in the morning, TCHC staff unlocks it as part of their routine. But they're not being locked anymore. And we're seeing fires, not as many, but it's going to get back up there again.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have sprinklers in the garbage chutes, which is fantastic. But for some reason, the one on the second floor where I live floods my apartment from front to back, ankle-deep water.
So that is a valid complaint that we can bring up to building management and see.
No, it's not building management. They're not allowed to lock the chutes. We're giving you some information that's been given to us. So what we would like you to do is go back to your special constable higher up people. Maybe it's your union, I don't know, but we need to be able to lock those. And our management was fine. They have no problem with it being locked, but we need to get permission to have them locked again. And we're blocked right now because you guys blocked it.
That's definitely something that can look into.
So, hey everyone, I'm Shane Bourne. I'm the Supervisor of Revitalization for Regent Park. I used to be a Community Safety Advisor in the CSU, but you are raising some concerns around some of the intricacies around like the union agreements. What I think we can do is we can take it back to upper management and work with the superintendent and operations staff, to look how to resolve the situation with the garbage chutes. So we can take that back.
Yeah, it's not our superintendent that needs to be spoken to.
Yeah.
It's their management.
Yeah, so we'll take it back and talk with management to see how we can problem solve.
Yeah, but not our management, their management.
Yeah, we're the same organization, so.
Thank you, Darrell.
So the gentleman in the back had the hand first.
Thanks. I guess I just want to bring concerns around safety in the community. And I have pictures of the doors at Circle K across the street that is wooden because it's been broken into. And there's a window at Shoppers Drug Mart that is now wooden because it's been broken into. Unfortunately, this is not the first time. It's been a few times. And then there's a Rava around the corner. The Rava is being broken into so many times. They even had to put a sign up at one time pleading to the criminals that not to break it because it costs them more money than they have in the register. And I've seen youth in the community that are shooting off fireworks at people, causing disturbances. And so my question, I guess, is how do I phrase this? What is the current action that's being taken place to kind of monitor that or to deter that action? We need some kind of a response, I think, in order to make sure that is not happening as often as it does. So I'm wondering if there's a specific task force that's maybe coming in to do something, if there's another force. And I know, like other people, I've made calls to 911, also to the main Division 9, and I keep getting told that because it's not happening at the time of the call, that there's nothing that can be done. Like that, and that's their words, not mine. They say, is the suspect still there? Do you see it happening? If I say, well, no, I'm at home, calling in, they'll say, well, if you can't see it, if not there, there's nothing you can do. But I'm sure that happens to a lot of people, where if we hear about it through the grapevine, if it happens and it's done in a flash, and we can't always call right when it happens when we're looking at the suspect in the face. So what is being done to bring those numbers down?
So, as I mentioned before, we have, and actually Regent Park is so fortunate because of the previous shooting occurrences that they have a car dedicated on top of us neighborhood officers. They're working usually during the day. We have a car 24/7 patrolling Regent Park, which other neighborhoods don't have that. They usually run call to call, try to answer and patch the problems. We would love to have a police officer at every corner of the street. That would be the perfect world where we can see everything happening. But unfortunately, our numbers are limited, and we do respond to every single call that's being made. If somebody calls, like, well, there's a break and enter here, or like the storefront door looks like it's been kicked in, or like the glass is broken, we will attend and take a report, try to get as much information as possible from fingerprints, from any evidence left behind by the perpetrator, from any witnesses, any cameras, and try to go after those people and arrest them. And unfortunately, obviously there's a pandemic with the drug use, and usually people who are using drugs are, their stats showing that they're not really working as much as other people, so they need to get money to buy those drugs. And this is the easiest way, obviously, to go about. We have issues with the TTC. We try to be there, for a month and a half, the callbacks and increase the presence there. Usually it's a cry for help, wherever there's a more of a problem, we try to concentrate our resources. But unfortunately, we have almost the same amount of officers now in 51 Division as we used to have 20 years ago, and the population almost doubled. So I think, obviously your eyes are very important, and you calling and letting us know when something happens, so hopefully we can respond in a timely manner to be able to apprehend the person on scene, or at least departing the crime scene. But it doesn't happen all the time.
But as I've been told, I'm not even getting that the investigation will be made, right? And I've had instances in our condo where there are homeless people that are camping out in the hallway, in the public hallways, and they're leaving behind drug paraphernalia, where there are kids and dogs around. But again, I keep getting told, well, there's nothing we can do because you don't see it. So you're saying that you investigate all of these and take evidence, but I'm being told that that's not being done. So then what can we do to make sure that investigation is happening?
So what types of calls are we talking about here? Please, somewhere where someone has been in the building and then left, and what sorts of calls are you being told that the police won't come to when you call?
So the call that I can speak to, I can't speak for everyone here.
Sure.
The call that I spoke, or that I made, was that we got reports, someone had taken a picture, they had passed a homeless, and he was assumed to be homeless, was in the building, in the public hallway space, with I think it was a sleeping bag, like a backpack, and also drug paraphernalia. So it was assumed that they were, doing drugs within that hallway. The second that picture went up, then so the suspect wasn't there at the time. So when I call in and I say, there is someone that has made camp within the hallways of our condo, and they are potentially doing drugs, that's when I'm told, do you see them? Have you seen them? And so and it's the same thing with, like I said, with the youth that are shooting fireworks. They said, well, do you see them right now? Where are they right now? And it's like, well, I can't always, they're gone. I can't always see them.
Right. So I have a couple of suggestions. First and foremost, keep calling. I know it sometimes will seem futile, but the only reason that we have a car dedicated like 24/7 in Regent Park is because there was a cry from the community, and rightly so because of the number of shootings. Our resources get deployed based on radio calls, based on calls for service. 51 Division has by far the most calls for service than any division in the city, and as a result, we also have per capita like officers is far higher than anywhere else in the city. It may not seem like it, but we are, at this point, we're like at capacity for officers. We don't even have lockers for everybody. It's like, we're getting new classes that are coming out. We're getting more and more officers, and we barely have enough coach officers to train them. Okay, so we are getting the resources. It's coming. It may not seem like it, but all I'm suggesting is don't stop if you think you're not getting through or you're being told that we can't come. So the calls for service, keep calling whenever you see something. Ideally, if you're calling for something like that, that's like an unwanted guest. Ideally, call for when the trespasser is still there, if you can. Even if you think the person's about to leave, say this person's here, we need the police to come. And then even if they're gone, that call's been generated, the police will come, and that's another call for service that's happening there, okay? So all I'm saying is do your best to call when they're there. I apologize if you're being told the police won't come. We generally, we will come. I mean, they just do everything, but obviously they have to manage the resources. The other thing that I wanted to mention too is there is something called Crime Stoppers, which I'm sure you guys have all heard of. Crime Stoppers is something I won't get too far into it now because I think at one of the next meetings we have a representative from Crime Stoppers coming that can sort of explain the program a little bit. But that's just another way to get resources deployed. So if you're having a particular issue in an area, say it's drug dealing or something like that, and it's not something where like, you know, they were there last night but they're not there now, so you can't really call the police. You can call Crime Stoppers and say, listen, there's drug dealing happening on this corner every day or whatever. You give the details. It's anonymous. If you want to leave your banking information, you can get paid if there's a arrest and that kind of thing. But they don't do that anymore. No. Well, this is why this is why I shouldn't be speaking to them, because somebody from Crime Stoppers is coming here. So, but there's other options, and then of course there's Farzad and Murcha, and then there's the other half, officers in the other half, Moise and Nigel Thomas. So you can reach out to those officers. Their contact information is easily available, and you can let them know, because I know it's only like 2 officers working at a time, and it may not be a lot, but they are around. They're the ones that are always in the neighborhood, and if they aren't able to deal with a problem that, say, is happening all the time, they can direct other officers. We have community response unit officers. We have tons of officers that we can direct those resources. So just let us know. All we need to know is that the problem is there. If we know the problem is there, that gives us something to do that day. That gives us something to direct our resources to. So you just got to let us know where the problem is, and we'll find it. Even if you're not getting through 911, talk to these guys. They will address it.
Just further to that too, so I mean, one of the questions that I would have if I was getting that kind of a call would be, so properties are not, you know, the properties that you live in are not owned by the Toronto Police Service, obviously, right? We're not property owners in that sense, right? So property owners, property management has a responsibility to deal with unwanted people in their buildings. So the question that I would want to know is, how is this individual getting into the building, and is the building secure enough for its tenants, whether it's a private property, whether it's a private condo, or whether it's a Toronto community housing property. I would want to know, like, if this person's there on a regular basis, camped out in the hallway, how's he getting in, right? Is it an educational thing? Is he following other tenants in? And we need to educate tenants not to allow people or to challenge people at the door and say, you know, do you live here? Or is there not ample enough building security to deal with, is the door just not got a lock on it and somebody's just walking in. We do have buildings here in Regent Park where especially the older buildings, where we have had problems with locks that have been damaged, and we've had to ask the Toronto Community Housing to go and fix them because people could just walk in, right? So I would want to address some of those issues as well, because it's fine for us to send somebody and go and deal with this person per se and say, okay, you got to go now, right? But what's to keep them from coming back tomorrow if we don't address whatever the issue is, that security issue that's allowing them to come into the building on a regular basis. So those are some of the things that we need to talk to the property owners about. So I don't know if you're in a private building or if you're in a Toronto Community Housing building, but property management has to be involved in that as well as a long-term solution, because we can't come every day. So if this person is a regular persistent problem, certainly we want to know about it because we will come and try to help address it. But we've also got to address it from the property management side. Are there suitable and appropriate security measures in place so that we can help to deal with that?
Right.
Sorry, so just a quick thing. That's what we're here is like Regent Park neighborhood officers. It might not look like an emergency for them to dispatch a car because the guy is gone. But if you call us and let us know, hey, people like to come and camp in this area, at least we can follow up and we know where people like to go. Right?
Yeah, that was just one example. Like, it's also looking at 50-day broken into
And the
24
hours.
So, like Wendy's has their fire that pulls every day, so that was just one example. I understand that that's also a separate issue with building security, so I get that. But like I said, it was just one of the many on my list.
That's why we were talking about community complaints. I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
If you call us, we make that into a community complaint. It goes in our binder. It's something that we deal with on a daily basis. So we have A to Z complaints. So we go through the book, we check mark, we update the person who's made that complaint. We have that kind of open communication, right? So that's why the community complaint is extremely, extremely important. That's how we get things done. It doesn't mean it's going to go away forever. It's going to be a reoccurrent issue, but as long as we can curb it and make it less, make it more easier to deal with, that's the key thing, right? So
So there's two people that have been very patiently waiting. We'll start right here with this gentleman. And then we'll go to Go ahead, sir.
I live in 285 Shooter Street. I have an apartment in there, and there is a neighbor is bothering me too much upstairs. They do verbal abuse and harassment, and they insult me everywhere. Inside of the apartment, outside of the apartment, they come after me and they say back to me, and also they they unlock the door of the apartment sometimes, and it's something, and they are bothering me too much. I don't know what should I do.
Okay, we're going to talk to you after this meeting is over about that, because that's a personal issue that needs to be dealt with. So we'll deal with you one-on-one after the meeting is over, rather than trying to answer this in a whole situation. But we'll talk to you after the meeting is over, okay?
Could you give out your email address to everybody?
Yeah, the email address you can reach us all at. This email goes to all 4 Regent Park officers. It also goes to myself, Sergeant Boyle, Sergeant Gray on the other half, and also to our boss. So, what I'm saying is, I'm saying this is because Supervisor see this email, so we'll make sure that these gentlemen and their colleagues on the other half are actioning it. And an email that we all can be able to reach out is regentpark@torontopolice.ca. Building Center, Regent Park, @torontopolice.ca.
Sorry, can you say it one more time?
It's to you, Sergeant. It's to you, Sergeant Dyck.
One second. Regent Park. @torontopolice.on.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
It's to you, Sergeant Dyck. When the 24-hour cars in the area, wherever, are they quicker in responding to wherever in Regent Park?
Well,
Just not for myself, but for
the
everybody.
fact that there's a dedicated car account, I can't say how long this is going to continue for. Sometimes when we're being successful, we draw resources away from where we're being successful to deal with problems where we're not being successful. We have been very successful here when we have dedicated resources to this community. I can 100% say that because I'm the one that authored the last major project in this neighborhood, And the presence of additional police in this neighborhood absolutely 100% dispelled crime in this neighborhood to a significant level. I've proven that. That's a fact. So the fact that we have a dedicated car always in this neighborhood means that that car that might normally be answering a call on the waterfront or might be answering a call on Yonge Street doesn't have to call them from all the way across there to come here. They're already in your neighborhood. So yes, provided that they're not already on a call, they're going to get there sooner, which is the idea, because we want to have that car available in particular if there happens to be a serious violent offense taking place in the neighborhood. We want to have a car that's closer to where that's taking place so hopefully we can apprehend the people that are doing it. So we are better off because we have that dedicated car here 24/7. We most certainly are better off because we have neighborhood community officers that are available every day for 11 hours a day. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Also, too, with the increase in the police budget, we are adding 25 more officers to 51 Division, right? And also, too, with all the new recruits coming from the Ontario Police College, they are being trained down here. So there will be more eyes on the road in Toronto Centre as well. So you may see an increase of police presence in the downtown core.
Yeah, thanks for that, except it's costing me a lot of headaches. But anyway, and it's appreciated, but training everybody is causing me a lot of headaches. But yes, it's true. A lot of the training is being done here right now. So we do have a lot of officers coming from other divisions for short periods of time to be trained here, which means that we do have more resources available, more officers here, again, than some of the other divisions have. And largely that is because we have, as they mentioned before, a higher number of radio calls, a higher number of calls for service in this division than there are elsewhere.
I have to do something.
Miguel, you have a question?
Yes, thank you for taking my question. My question is directed to the CSU officer on the right hand at the end of the table. Can you tell us your name and you can identify yourself?
My name is Officer Lemaine.
Officer?
I'm a Regent Park neighborhood officer with my partner over there.
Okay.
We've been in the community for around 3 months.
Glad to meet you.
Yeah.
Just a follow-up question with regards to the concerns that we have at 220 Oak Street. It's about this, accountability. One of the burning questions I have for the Regent Park Safety Network, hi Leonard, is being many times I've asked your staff, your supervisors about if there's a chance for you guys to have a body-worn camera. I say this is because many of our buildings in phases 2 don't have CCTV cameras in all the hallways and on the stairways. For your own protection, I think you should be able to carry body-worn cameras, you know, for your safety and the safety of everybody else. Just like your colleagues here, they have body-worn cameras, which was one of the activisms that we achieved 7 years ago with the Toronto Police Services. So I want to ask you the question again that I ask all the time at the Regent Park Safety Network. Are there any discussions with upper management to equip you with body-worn cameras for the purpose of transparency and accountability? Because many times it's true that we called you, but you don't show up. And you know, it's valid to have some kind of recording, because what I have, the information I have, maybe is different than yours. Now, Sergeant Boyko just walked out of the room, and he said, by the way, that the discussion on stolen bike is not a community problem. However, I heard you saying today that a lot of complaints is regarding stolen e-bikes and bikes in TCHC units. So, can we bring this matter back to the table, the discussion on e-bikes? Because it's a community concern. Believe it or not, at the Regent Park Safety Network, hi Leonard, we have discussed this matter of the e-bikes stolen in the condos for the fellow there. Many e-bikes have been stolen from the condos. Thank you.
Okay, so the bicycle theft is, it's like here and there, so it's like maybe your bike went missing, maybe someone else's bike went missing somewhere else. It's not just always that once all these bikes go missing, right? And for the cameras, 220 Oak is equipped with cameras everywhere, stairwells, hallways, main lobby.
Do they work?
Yes, they do work. And for body-worn cameras, currently this year, our management is looking at body-worn cameras, so they will be starting with the pilot project, and they're looking into it. So maybe by next year, some of the officers should have cameras.
All right, thank you.
Our partner city is going to talk about the barbecue that we're going to be having. I don't have the exact date, but if you can maybe share some information about the barbecue.
Yeah, so the barbecue is supposed to happen June 3rd. The date hasn't been confirmed yet. June 3rd is when we're trying to do the barbecue. It will be between 12 and 4. And like my other partners, they're not here today. They discussed with they discussed with the community. Because me and my partner right now, this is our first time here today, so all of this is pretty new to us. But the barbecue is set for June 3rd between 12 and 4, and it's going to be bouncy castles and burgers and other events happening on that specific day.
I always enjoy it.
Yeah. We'll definitely get the flyers out when we get the exact set date. It's usually beginning of June, just to kick off the summer. And I just want to say something here. TCHC, CSU, the security section, they have dedicated neighborhood officers for Regent Park. Previously, we have worked together, jointly together, because we were I was alone, I was solo for a while, and not being here. Now that we have a team, we're going to make sure all of us, we're going to be working together as one and address some of those issues. And I totally understand what Miguel is saying about the e-bikes and bicycles. That's something that we deal with on a regular basis. And one thing we always try to educate people with any kind of bicycles, we encourage everybody to register them with the Toronto Police website, to have those serial numbers registered, because that's probably the best way that we can actually locate the bicycles. It's extremely difficult. It is an issue. It's something that's going to be obviously ongoing, but we can, if everybody kind of does their part, we are able to kind of curb that situation a little bit better. It's not going to go away completely, but at least we can deal with it in a better fashion. So make sure those bikes are getting registered, because that's the number one issue that we're having, that they're not getting registered. That's why the criminals, they know that. They know they can get away with it, and they take it. And now that we have our neighborhood officers from CSU, we're going to work with them and make sure that we bring that extra presence and to provide the extra security and safety we need for the neighborhood.
We'll do bike registration at the barbecue as well,
yes,
so that people can bring their bikes and we'll register them on the spot.
Bikes and e-bikes?
Do we do e-bikes?
Yes, we do e-bikes
Okay,
as well.
there you go. There's the answer. Bikes and e-bikes. There you go.
How do they get GPS attached to their bike so that if it does get stolen, they can find it?
That's a feature that you'd have to buy with the bicycle. It's not something
separate.
it's a separate cost.
Okay, that's what
But if you have the serial number registered with us, it helps us, because then when we think somebody's got a bike that's not theirs, we can look at the serial number and we run the serial number, and if the serial number comes back to you, then obviously we're going to ask that individual, why do you have this person's bike, right? So it makes it very easy for us then to be able to retrieve your bike and get it back to you. Sorry, there was a question here.
I know in the past you had some boxing programs for the youth. Are you guys doing anything else for the
Yes, I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, so we're looking right now to have a pro-action program, boxing again. There's a boxing ring in Cabbagetown, not too far away from Regent, so we want to restart that again. We had a really great success with our boxing program in Regent Park, and we want to bring that back. We just got back together, obviously, so we're going to work that through the summertime, so we can be like the summer program for the kids. And usually what we do for the kids is we provide the boxing coaching. It's a team atmosphere. We give them their gym bags, their shoes, and their gloves. And we usually bring speakers to kind of talk about motivational speakers to help encourage the kids, to stay on the positive side, and just we do some out of division, what should we call it, the field trips, so they can also get out of the division within Regent Park, just kind of expand their horizon, and really promote the program just as far as health and wellness, fitness. And train their mind, train their body. We saw the success. We saw we had our first hijabi female boxer that joined our boxing program, and that actually opened up the floodgates to other girls as well that wanted to participate, which previously they were kind of like shy to come forward. So that's something that we want to continue working on. And I'm thank you for bringing that up. So we are actually working on it. It's just we have to make the timeline available so that we can dedicate ourselves to it, because it is something that we do on our own time. We have to make sure that, you know, once we committed the whole duration of the time in that program.
So just FYI, when these guys run a program, it's a sellout, right? So as you probably know, they ran this last year a soccer program and a basketball program in Regent Park. And I attended on several occasions, and we actually had more kids show up than we knew what to do with. They're very, very well appreciated for their programs. So it's nice to hear we have another one in the works. And I've attended also the previous boxing program, where I've seen what some young people that needed a helping hand got through that program. And it's helpful sometimes to understand the level to which the officers that are dedicated to your community, what they're willing to do for you. So for example, I can tell you, these gentlemen in that boxing program, there was a young person who was needing some assistance, and literally there was no food in the fridge. And these gentlemen reached into their own pockets and went out and got them groceries. And then when I found out about it, I happened to have some grocery cards available, and we topped that up so that this person was able to have some food on the table. And then, of course, on top of that, they went out and helped him find a job and were a reference so that this individual could get employment. So that's the kind of things that these guys do. Besides running these very, very successful programs, FARS that as well for the last year and a half has also been a part of a very, very large program called Project Hope, which has been helping Afghan refugees who are arriving to Canada. And that program has supplied over $500,000 worth of services and goods to people who are arriving in Canada desperately needed it. So that's the kind of dedicated people that you have working for you. So truly, when you do bring them a problem, they do care, they are concerned. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You weren't finished?
Maybe for the next meeting or next quarter, if you could bring in maybe someone from Youth and Police Initiative, and also open up opportunities to get our youth into policing.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you on that, because we started the whole EP program again because of the pandemic. We couldn't really run it. Now it's starting to open up again, and we actually want kids from Regent to join the EP program, not somebody from Scarborough.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Scarborough, but we'd rather have our local. We have a lot of kids here that could truly benefit from this program from our neighborhood.
We have two right now for our program. Two students, one from Regent Park and one from St. Jamestown. But yeah, we do want applicants because obviously we'd like to see kids from Regent Park apply, because usually when there are Regent Park applicants and they get accepted, they come to work with us. So, which is great. Andre, you've been very patient.
Yes, why isn't bike theft tracked as an MCI?
So what?
Bike theft tracked
Bike theft?
as a major crime indicator.
Theft over, the only major crime indicator with regards to theft is theft over, which means that the dollar value has to be over $5,000. It's not to say that we don't track theft. I can't give you the number of thefts in a year. We can, but the major crime indicators, which we meet about every week as management to discuss the crime trends and everything else, we have to limit it. We have to bring it down to something that's workable, right? So there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of crime, obviously. So we try to take the 7 that we think are the most egregious and the most problematic and the ones that have the most impact on the community, and we try to focus on those. But it's not to say we can't tell you how many bike thefts there have been or how many thefts there have been. We can, so it is tracked, but we just don't provide statistical information about it on a monthly basis that we do to the CPLC for that reason.
Is that something you can provide?
Could it?
Because I only ask because the city obviously is encouraging people to ride bikes. More bike lanes are being built, and so I think we should take bike theft a little bit more seriously, because for many of us, it is our mode of transportation, our only mode of transportation. Including myself, I don't drive, I ride a bike, and my bike was stolen. Not in this division. just so you know. But another one, and it's crippling for folks who can't afford to buy another one. So, I think the community could really benefit getting that statistical information to know whether or not the bike is going up, is it going down, what's working, what's not working. You guys work on data, and so do we. So we really appreciate that information.
So you remind me about that by email a few days before the next CPLC meeting, and I'll have our person that does the stats for us dive into that, and so we'll be able to provide it at the next CPLC meeting for you.
Thanks, Sergeant.
No problem.
Hi, I just wanted to point out that for slightly older youth, so 18 to 25, the Community Safety Unit has a youth cadet program. It's a 12-month program, they get paid, and it gives them the insights and work experience in community engagement and law enforcement. I mean, besides the police program. But this is the safety unit has a cadet program now. So if anybody's interested in that, you can visit torontohousing.ca, and the information will be there probably in the career section or the youth section. So that's kind of new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The CSU cadet program we just recently started. They're taking applicants now, ages 18 to 25. And there's a 12-month contract, so you'll go through training for 2 months, and then you'll be on the road helping special constables do their duties.
Yeah.
In the hopes of one day transitioning into a full-time special constable.
And the deadline for application is Tuesday, April the 4th. So they've got a little while, but not a lot of time.
Yeah, next week. Councillor, before we end this meeting, do you want to come up? There may be some people here that don't know who your constituent assistant is for this neighborhood. Might be a good opportunity to introduce them, and I'll let you speak and have the floor for a couple minutes.
I'm not even speaking, but sure. Well, thank you to our neighborhood officers. They do great work. I meet with the superintendent of 51 on a monthly basis. He comes to my office, we sit one-on-one and go through all the stats and what's happening. So it's nice to hear that it's being shared here today. Some of it is being shared here today. I know we have many challenges in this ward, in our community. But together, we're working on it. We're working diligently in my office to address many of these issues. I sit at many tables at council. Again, I'm the chair of Toronto Public Health. So a lot of the issues and problems that we have here today is around mental health and addiction, which I actually have experience in, coming from the hospital side. I worked at St. Mike's Hospital for 22 years in emergency. So that's my area of expertise. So I bring that skill set to the Toronto Board of Health, among other things. So this is Yusuf, who works in my office. He's also, a Regent Park resident. He knows the community well and the issues that that affects us all here. So if you have any issues or problems, reach out to him directly. He has his cards with him, I'm sure. And we're here to assist and work with you in any capacity. As of next month, April 29th, we'll be opening our Constitute office. First time ever, Toronto Centre will have a Constitute office. It's actually going to be over at Dundas in Parliament.
Oh, in the old office with
where Suze Morrison used to be. So we'll have a great, big, grand opening. So I hope that all of you will come and join us and to celebrate, the opening. Also, too, I don't have the date on me, but we're going to have our environmental day in the Regent Park, big park. So I hope to see you there as well. I'm doing my best to engage the community and be informed and address any issues that you may have. Sure, go ahead.
Which one of us? Okay.
Can I have flyers for the building for your event?
Saturday, April 22nd is your day.
Environmental Day?
Saturday, April 22nd.
The office of the...
No, for your Environment Day.
Okay, April 22nd.
April 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
There we go. You're on it.
I can use flyers for my building for that.
We're happy to put something together for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, do you have any holdover staff from Christian Wong Tam, just to keep you, to get you up to, not up to speed, but let you know about things that have been happening?
Yeah, so Tyler Johns is my chief of staff, and he did work with Councillor Wong Tam prior. I also have Ed, who's in charge of the St. Lawrence Market area, who's also Councillor Wong Tan.
Okay.
And Juliette, who's my office director, was also.
So there's some sort of continuation?
Yeah.
So you guys are not starting fresh with?
No, we have a lot of data, a lot of information, and also I've pulled some other staff from other council offices, for example, Anna Bailao, former deputy mayor. 2 of her former staff is also working in my office as well. So I'm all resourced. We have 10 staff members in the office. We're the busiest ward in the city. And because of the size of the ward, we actually get an extra staff person.
That's good.
So, and we divide the ward, I guess, by neighborhoods. So used to being the considered person for Regent Park and
Cabbagetown and Moss Park.
So yeah, so.
There's a guy in Folio.
Not St. Jamestown.
Very
St. Jamestown is somebody else?
Mary St. Jamestown. So if you go to my website, chrismoise.ca, it actually lists each.
If you click our ward and type in your address, you can see the neighborhood leads for everywhere. That's good. Addresses.
Yeah. We also have a new feature, also text messaging, so you can also text this as well.
That's good.
So yeah. Go ahead.
Chris, big favor. Officer Persano.
Another one?
Officer Persano, the risk of this corner of Oak Street and River. There is unfinished business. They removed a parking spot, but they forgot to put a block or some sort of deterrent so people don't park on that spot that was. If you park in that spot, it blocks the view for people crossing the street. So it makes it so difficult, right, for pedestrians. So the spot was removed. Physically, they remove it, but it's still people park on there because it's unfinished business. I asked Juliette, please ask the people, the good friends of Parks and Recreations or anybody else to put a street planter. Something to decorate the street at the same time, but at the same it blocks any car from parking in that particular spot because of reduced visibility. So please talk to
the great
friends,
thing about
colleagues.
the text messaging feature is you take a picture of your phone.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of pictures on there. Ask your colleagues.
So this Miguel and I don't always agree on everything, but this is one area where we actually have to do it. We have stood out there on that corner and had this discussion with Kristen Wong-Tam when she was councillor, and that's how that parking spot got removed. But I agree, it would be beneficial to have something there that comes out to block that lane so that we don't have cars parked there and people can see, because this is a bad intersection for traffic. Problems related to pedestrians and cyclists, interaction with cars. So if there's a way that we can work together to make that happen, that would be fantastic.
And don't forget, it was a job started by Barbara Castledan, a tenant rep who passed away.
Well, again, this is neighborhood, and he's present, so I'm sure he is on. So, all right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Council, for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you.
If nobody has any questions.
Leonard, we're going to give the last question to Leonard for the night before we close off. Go ahead, Leonard.
I just want to mention that today there was a funeral for 2 officers, Travis Jordan and Brett Ryan of the Edmonton Police Force, aged 35 and 30. 2 very young men, 2 young veterans of the Edmonton Police Force who were shot and killed when they attended to a domestic violence call. So I know that I, as a resident of Regent Park, a citizen of this great country, very much appreciate the work that our men in blue, our men and women in work for the police service and the community safety unit, what they face every day. And it's not easy, and we admire you for having the courage to do that. Of course, this city, this neighborhood is not immune to violence. We saw yet another attack, an unprovoked attack on the TTC subway appeal, I believe.
a young boy, 16 years of age, was stabbed in the back by somebody who unfortunately was perhaps had mental issues. And we all have to be on guard. We all have to be vigilant. We have to be respectful, as far as I talked about when he introduced this meeting. I just want to mention that this young woman, Hajja Abu Bakr, and myself, Leonard Swartz, are co-chairs, along with Jerome of Toronto Community Housing. We're all co-chairs of the Regent Park Safety Network. If anyone wants to get involved, please talk to any one of us. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. If anyone has any ideas about how we can attract more residents, please let us know. And we'll support the police in the next quarterly meeting.
I'll just give us flyers, printed flyers ahead of time so that we can post them in our buildings.
Okay.
Because I got this one by email, my printer's broken, I don't believe anything is posted in our building.
Yes, there is. I put it up, remember?
Okay, oh, that's right, that was the one that was, but sooner.
Yeah, I know.
What did you
get those community leaders in this one?
Just wanted, on behalf of the Regent Park Safety Network, to thank everyone for coming, and of course, all our great officers in the front.
Leonard, thank you very much. We just want one more resident. The reason I want to introduce this resident, senior citizen of one of the senior buildings that we deal with. He does want to say something. I cannot stress enough how important our seniors are in this neighborhood. We have to make sure we remember them, we respect them, and give them the time that they deserve, because of them, this is the reason why we're here now. So I just want to give the floor for just a minute to Mr. Pejman here, who are joining us. Just want to say a few words, if you could just bear with us.
Thank you very much. Can you translate it a little?
I'm going to translate a little because he speaks in Farsi and Dari.
I know English, but like this community, maybe I will be wrong. This, I need the translator. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. I want to talk and thank you about the police officer and activity like this. My English not so much good, but Officer Fazal, we will translation for yours. بعد از شکایات و انتقاداتی که شد خیلی ممنون تشکر میکنم باشم.
Is saying thank you for all the concerns that was raised today. He really appreciates that people are speaking.
و ما خیلی خوش هستیم که بادی کمیونیتی بعد از 3 سال بعد از مرض کرونا با افسرهای را تشکیل کرد.
He's saying going after 3 years of pandemic, it's really nice to see that people are back together. We're all talking on the same page once again.
و همچنین این صحبتایی که شد، انتقاداتی که شد، افسرها بعضی اکتیویتی‌های مثبت هم دارند.
And after all the concerns that have been brought forward, he's saying that the officers are sympathizing with that and they want to do something about it.
The officer ما را حفظ می‌کند از بدی‌ها، از حوادث طبیعی مثل زلزله، موتورزدگی، اکسیدن و مردم بد در بین سرک.
He's saying the police are here obviously to protect us and to keep us safe from all the bad people that are out there.
و ما به خاطر اینا ما میتونیم در سرک، در بازار، در هر جا آزادانه حرکت کنیم، بگردیم، حرف بزنیم.
And that's the reason that we have our freedom here in this country, that we're able to go to the store and to go anywhere we want to, not having to so much worry about our safety as much.
فلهذا از پلیس تورنتو و کانادا اسپیشال 51 تشکر بسیار زیاد. Thank you.
Thank you. He's giving thanks to Toronto Police and 51 Division for providing the service as much as they can to keep us safe.
و همچنین از آقای آفیسر فرزاد آقای ماچن خیلی ممنون تشکر میکنم که به صورت فیزیکال و به صورت psychologist as building was 52 building اینا محافظت میکنن و از هر کدام دیدن میکنن به صورت فیزیکالی و psychology.
And you just mentioned the fact that saying thanks that the senior building that he lives in, it's important to have officers come there and visit them because they're isolated, they're alone, and to have somebody to come and speak with them just to get their mentality out of that state of isolation is very, very important.
Officer Farzad or Officer Meshad. There's 2 persons coming to the senior building. They are physically and psychology visit to us. If there's something, some people is patient, is nervous, sadness. They are like doctor, like a physiotherapist, like psychologist, treatment. I want to thank you from those people, from those officers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming. We're going to have more for you. Like we mentioned earlier, we'll have Crime Stoppers come do a presentation. They do a fantastic job, so you guys are more educated about what Crime Stoppers does. And if you have any ideas about bikes being stolen, if you have any innovation ideas that we can curb the situation, please bring it forward to us. We're open-minded to that.
Thanks everyone for coming, appreciate it.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. And for more information, please visit our website.